So we saw the new Tokyo Game Show panel on Virtua Fighter, new Virtua Fighter project. People who were expecting too much. People who were expecting like just a debut of the game, like a debut of the game and an announcement of the beta or something. I don't know what's going on. Why you would think that? Because first of all, the game doesn't have a name yet. It doesn't have an official name. It's just called New Virtua Fighter Project. That's just placeholder. So honestly, we're looking at sometime in 2027, most likely June 2027, because they're not going to really release it in January, February aren't really good sales years, so sales months. So they're going to wait till it's summer and they're more likely to make more sales, and they'll probably release it in June, early summer 2027. Okay, that's what probably going down. So I'm glad we got some concrete information, but so far we haven't got much concrete information. We got that video that they showed at Evo of the combat system. So now we know there's two game modes: standard, which is ring outs and knockouts, and uprising mode. And I'm glad I looked at the 4Gamer interview. 4Gamer.net did an interview with Yamada, and he went into more detail. Now, for the new mode, right? 4Gamer, what he told them was, it's a concept of the way battle royale games changed first-person shooters. That's how they want uprising mode to change fighting games. So it's more expansive mode. He didn't go into detail more than that. All we know for sure is going to have the same fighting, and it's based on momentum. What they said during the TGS is that's based on momentum, but that's all he said. He didn't make it clear. Like, well, that's not very clear. When he talked about it in the 4Gamer interview, he said that he wants it to be more cinematic. Okay, he wants to be more cinematic, and he wants to just change the rules. They change how the fighting games are looked at. So basically, it's a basic different mode. Okay, we have no idea. All we can do is speculate at this point, and basically, it's going to be, it may be battle royale. It may be a mode with actually has supers in it. Probably not, because it's going to be the same fighting rules as the regular mode, but in a different platform, basically, in a different framework. Okay, so as opposed to how this is just fighting one-on-one, that's the only correlation you can make, right? Is that instead of just fighting one-on-one, two people online, you may have to beat one person, then beat another person, then beat another person. It could be a mode where you're in a bigger stage, like a bigger area, okay, like a explorable area where you're just fighting in a larger arena, or maybe in the same arena, but you're fighting multiple different opponents, okay? So once you beat one person, then you have to beat another person, another player, right? Then another player queues up, another player queues up. The way Battle Royale has like 80 players are in one area, and you have to beat as many of them as possible. It could be like that. So that is really activated my imagination. Okay, that's really a good idea to change, have some kind of new idea, because the whole fighting game format has been pretty much standard for a long time, and it hasn't really changed much. So that's good that they're looking forward. And most notable about this sway mechanic, it's definitely a dodge mechanic. And one thing I noticed that I picked up on was that they said after you dodge, you can either counterattack or you could grab the punch and do a counter. So you probably grab the character's fist right here where Akira totally whiffed this standard palm. In some instances, you could actually grab it and counter, like throw him to the ground properly. So that's pretty cool. So so it's changing the gameplay, because we've been with that same version of Virtua Fighter for 13 years now. So it's time for a change. So I'm excited about that. So people, they just wanted to see new characters. All right, fine, new characters are all well and good, but it's been 9 months and we had no concrete information on the battle system, the new game system. Okay, why are they making a sequel? So this clarified it. We need the clarification. I think the only problem with this is maybe they should have done it the day after Evo. It had a direct right after Evo. It wouldn't sting as badly because people are really mad because we saw this 2 months ago. Why are they showing this same video again? Because they never clarified it. They just showed it, and then we drew our own conclusions. Okay, and a lot of them were right, and some of them were a little off. Some people are looking at the red image on Stella's face and said, "Oh, Stella must be Doral." Like, where are you coming up with this? They're just coming up with random, crazy theories. So I think they needed to clarify it. It's actually the new mechanic. It's the body part damage system. Okay, so her head got damaged from a counterattack, and it activates the break and rush system, which is basically gonna target a specific body part and damage it. And what they told about us is that the damage carries on to the next round. And in the 4Gamer interview, they made it more clear. That means if you got a break and rush on your head like she did in this video, that means she's more susceptible to getting break and rushed again. So it's weaker. So that area is easier to break and rush than, say, her feet, because it's been broken previously. That's how the damage carries off. You're not going to be crippled in the next round, but you're more susceptible to break and rush in the next round in that same area because you're already broken there. So basically, it'll take more damage. As soon as that happens, you're wide open. If you get broken, you're going to be vulnerable to a hit. You're going to do way more damage if they actually break that area again. Also, a big thing that they mentioned in the 4Gamer.net interview is that flow guard is really important because some attacks are going to do chip damage. So even if you blocked it normally and you didn't do flow guard, you will take chip damage. So that's why you see here where Akira is doing this, the blue blocks that are like parries. That's the flow guard. If he didn't do that, you're taking damage. Okay? So it's really important. So that's a huge point that they didn't bring up in the Tokyo Game Show stream. You actually take chip damage in this. Probably not from every attack, that would be crazy. But from heavier attacks, you definitely take chip damage, and that's why flow guard is essential. Also, they want flow guard in the break and rush system to go hand in hand. So if you're in a break and rush situation, your best bet to protect yourself is probably flow guard. Okay, and also it's going to give you some advantage. That's what they said. So you're most likely able to counterattack if you do flow guard. So to turn the tables. So yeah, I didn't want to be quick to judge. I personally wanted some information. We haven't got any solid information in 9 months, so it's overdue. More so than just another gameplay video of different characters fighting. That wouldn't do us no favors, really. It's nice eye candy, okay? But it's not going to really answer the questions we didn't know going forward, how the game's going to be different in the next game. And it's about time they established that, being that they announced it 9 months ago. So there's a lot of people that are outraged or whatever about this video. They ain't showing up. They just want eye candy. The game's not ready. The game's not out. Okay, the game's not coming out in 4 months or something. I mean, they're comparing the presentation in this to the presentation in Marvel Tokon. Marvel Tokon already has a beta. Okay, it already had a beta in August, in early September. So that's a totally different situation. So that game's almost ready to come out. This game's not ready to come out. Nobody's played this yet. Nobody without an NDA has played this yet. Okay, maybe people with NDAs have played it, but internally, and maybe a few choice people got to play it. But other than that, so far, this has not been released in a playable form in any way. I mean, Marvel Tokon was released to play at Evo. People were playing it at Evo, so they had a playable demo. There's no playable demo for this yet. So why are you expecting to see more, more footage of more characters? It's not ready yet. It'll be eventually, but not at this point. And I think the only problem with this is that maybe they should have showed this much sooner. Like the day after Evo. It would have went over a lot better. And then maybe just show what Jackie fighting Jeffrey or or Wolf fighting, since they already showed Wolf and showed the new character fighting. Okay, some brief gameplay video of them fighting at Tokyo Game Show, and people would be less upset. Only thing I have to say about it is, why have Tokido there? His main skill is playing games, fighting games. So I mean, if Tokido's there, why not have him playing the game live? I'd assume that's why he's there. But he's an old fan, so that's why he was there. Okay, so his perspective on it. So just like me, I've been playing this since Virtua Fighter 1. So it's good to see his perspective on it. And he asked the only good question. Tokido asked the only good question. There's a question and answer portion of the stream, and he asked, well, how is this going to have a social impact like Virtua Fighter 2 did? Like Virtua Fighter 2 was a social revolution in the game space, all right? That is going to have that kind of impact. And that's what he's asking, because that's how Virtua Fighter 2 was. When Virtua Fighter 2 came out, everybody's playing that in arcade. Okay, it was my main impetus to get a Sega Saturn. Really, when Saturn was not a better system than PlayStation, but Virtua Fighter 2 was so good, you had to have that at home. It was super popular in Japan. It was very popular in America. It was probably the most popular version of Virtua Fighter in America. Easily. Virtua Fighter 3 was good, but it was $1 to play, and a lot of normal people were looking at it. It's like, I'm not paying $1 to play this game, because the graphics and the technology was so good in Virtua Fighter 3. They had to charge more per play session, and nobody was trying to put in $4 to play it, unless you're a super Virtua Fighter fan. So, and their only real answer to that question is how is this Virtua Fighter be a social revolution like the old game was, Virtua Fighter 2 was, and their main idea for that was the uprising mode. They want to change how the game's played. It's more like changing the format. It's not changing, it's trying to change the format, the rule set. It's still going to be knockouts. It's still going to be, ring outs, but it's like how many. I think it's the best bet, from what I can interpret from it, or my just speculation, is that it's how many people you have to beat, or what kind of the arena. How does the arena change? They want to change the overall scope of it, which is good. And also, they mentioned that they wanted to make it more cinematic. So take from that what you will. So the big news that we got from the 4Gamer interview that really helped clarify it more is that they really want to change the game of Uprising. Uprising, they basically want to change how fighting games are played. I don't think it's gonna be like the world tour mode in Street Fighter. That didn't change anything. It's not gonna be like that, because that's just window dressing, really. That's just eye candy and window dressing. That doesn't change anything. They want to change how fighting games themselves are played. So they're still in the fighting game format, but they want to change the platform or the rule set, overall scope. So that's interesting. That's what I'm interested about. I'm not mad they didn't show it 5 new characters. They can show all the characters they want, but if they keep showing characters, right? They say they showed 3 characters. What good is that really to let you know how the new game's going to be if you don't know the game system? If you don't know the game system, you don't know the new mechanics, who cares how many characters they show? That's all well and good. That's great. But there's characters in the current game. And we're tired of the old game. I'm really tired of the old Virtua Fighter. It's good, but it gets tiring. So it's been a long time. It's time for something new. Some new stages, new characters. That's what I want to see. The only question I wish they asked, because they asked some really vapid, dumb questions, like, is there going to be a modern controls mode? Some dumb questions. Are you going to push back the block? Of course not. Just stupid. Oh, what does real mean? As opposed to, in terms of Virtua Fighter, like, what kind of dumb question is that? What do you mean, what does real mean? It's a Virtua Fighter game. It's going to be realistic martial arts. You already know that. That was a waste of a question. What they should have asked is how many new characters is going to be in the game. That's what I want to know. How many new characters are going to be in the game? What are the stages? When's it coming out? How about that? How about when is the game getting released? How many new characters are going to be in the game? Okay, that's what we need to know. Stuff we actually need to know, man. And they didn't ask nothing. Like, wow, that. If there's anything to take away from this as being some kind of disappointment, it's the disappointing, dumb questions they answered. They picked the most lame, inane softball questions they could possibly pick, and they didn't solve anything. They didn't answer enough questions. At least they came up forward and gave us some of the game mechanics. And this is the signature cut. And this is as close as we're going to get to supers in this game. There's not going to be any supers, but you're at least going to be a cinematic ending to the match. Okay, so be it a huge body slam or knockout punch or whatever, they're going to do some kind of cinematic close-up too. Okay, we have to take that. Beggars can't be choosers. That's all we're going to get. Is that show-stopping enough to compete with Street Fighter, Tekken? Not really, because everybody has supers. Even called, what is it? Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves. So we'll see how it works out. Because obviously this game has to last 20 years. The last game has been on the market for 20 years. You have to be forward-thinking and future-proof. Okay, I would future-proof it and put supers in the game. Me personally. If you're willing to go as far as removing throws from the game, like they did in Final Showdown, and removing evade, punch and kick, that's a huge omission. Then if that much of a change to the core system is allowable, then so is adding supers. And there were supers in Tekken 7, and it didn't break the game. And a lot of people you played with online, they had like a gentleman's agreement not to use supers. I never adhered to that. I'll use as many supers as I feel like, because it was a fight. You can use all the weapons you have, and it's entertaining. Is it a 100% what Tekken is? No, but it's still fun. It's supposed to be a video game. To break your immersion. How much immersion do you possibly have when you're juggling people across the screen and punching them in there like they're a volleyball, and they're flopping around like a fish on the floor, and you're somehow connecting those static punches of a guy that's 1 inch off the floor? How immersive is that? That's not really immersive. That doesn't break your reality. And as long as they're not shooting fireballs, it's fine. Okay, so this is fine. Right, this right here, the signature cuts. That's what I expected. Nobody's saying the hero should jump up in the air 30 feet and shoot a fireball or shoot lasers from his eyes. Obviously not. We're talking about a cinematic sequence of moves that damages your opponent and puts your opponent away. Because me personally, I hate having you fight with somebody and you beat them tactically, but damage scaling makes the attack not actually finish them off. So you have to go the extra mile to make an extra mistake to finish them off, actually. Anyway, so at this point, I'm interested in what they have. As long as it's something new, okay? As long as it's something new. And I don't really like a meter fest, because I think the problem with Street Fighter 6 is that it is a meter fest. It's too dependent on meter. And when you're out of meter, you're kind of screwed. So I'm not really a fan of that. And the debacle with Tekken 8 is they went too far with too many meters, and they added the heat meter, and that was just one step too far in the 2D fighter direction, and it just broke the game totally. So it gives you too much advantage, and then it regenerates. So we don't want too many meters in the game, if any. Technically, it doesn't have to be a meter. You can just be able to do a move that's cinematic, or a combo that just triggers a cinematic. It doesn't necessarily have to be a meter triggered move. And people were mad because this new character, I've heard a lot of stuff. People were making a lot of speculation about this character they showed here in this teaser. My thought, it's the same character that they teased in the Wolf, right after the Wolf reveal. Now, some people said this is Jackie. There's no way this is Jackie. How can anybody think that's Jackie? Look how skinny he is. He's small and he's skinny, okay? He's athletic, but he's nowhere the size of Jackie, okay? That's not Jackie, bro. And it's not Kazuya. Somebody said it's Kazuya. I've heard the most crazy off-the-wall theories, man. It's not Kazuya. It's that, see that same bun is in the back of his hair? That, you think this is Kazuya? No, it's not Kazuya. It's not Kazuya at all. Kazuya meaning, Kazuya Mishima from Tekken. It's not him. I don't think they're going to put any Tekken characters in this game because the way they made it, the graphics is so upgraded and updated for the new graphic system and new character designs. They went so much to make them more realistic and updated that the other characters will look out of place. If you take a character from, say, DOA and stuck them in here, yeah, they look out of place. Even Rio looks too much from Shenmue. He doesn't look as realistic enough to be in this game. He would look out of place. He would look like a claymation character in live action. That's how out of place he would look. So yeah, I don't really care if they put any new characters. I mean, guest characters in this game. Just some new characters. We desperately need new characters, which that guy most likely is. He's some kind of boxer or kickboxer. So stay tuned and know they didn't do bad marketing. They did good marketing. They're showing the new game mechanics, and that's what they're trying to sell, something new. Okay. Also, what only thing they really need to do worry about marketing is when they have an